you know that everyone is born with psychic abilities? It's just a matter of knowing how to tap into it. Wouldn't it be great to have a podcast that can help? This is the Psychic Inside Show. Joelle, the Viberarian,
on a higher frequency,
is on a mission to elevate, enlighten, and empower. We're all born with gifts and abilities, but not all of us recognize or accept them. Hear from people who've opened up to the psychic inside. You'll hear their fascinating stories, and we'll take a peek behind the veil, plus psychic readings and more. Our phone line is open. Dial 646-787-8436. That's 646-787-8436. This is the Psychic Inside Show. And now your host, Joelle, the Viberarian.
Greetings and hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Psychic Inside Show. My name is Joelle, and I am here to elevate, enlighten, and empower. Each week I have the amazing opportunity to sit down with people who I have encountered or been introduced to, who I've met along the journey, and I bring them on so that they can talk to us about how they discovered their psychic, or I don't even know, some people don't always recommend, reverberate with the word psychic, but say an extrasensory set of skills and abilities. And tonight is no different. I'm super excited to be welcomed to my show this evening, Karimah King. Karimah, welcome to the Psychic Inside Show.
Greetings. I'm so thankful to be here with you. And I love the work that you do and everything that you bring. So I'm honored to be a guest this evening and share my thoughts.
Well, for those of you who are listening to the podcast live, the number is 646-787-8436. If you have a question for Karimah this evening about her journey or anything that she is sharing, please just press the pound or hashtag 1 key, and that lets me know that you want to come on the air. This episode is also going to be available. You could be listening on Audible or iTunes or Google, Amazon Podcasts. We're out there on all of the distribution platforms. All you have to look for is the Psychic Inside Show, and you can subscribe so that you don't miss any of the upcoming interviews that we have scheduled. Also, on the Viber YouTube channel, you will have an opportunity to listen to this conversation this evening so that you can queue it up on your commute or pass it along to others, because I'm sure that there's something in Karimah's journey that is going to touch you and provide a resonance that you will be able to relate to. Now, Karimah, I believe that everyone is psychic, but that word psychic kind of is supercharged. Not everybody resonates with it in the same way. Do you consider yourself to be a psychic as you understand the word to be used?
I do. I feel that we all are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the word, it evokes a response because of what we've been taught about what it means, like gimmicks and, all kinds of crazy commercials and all of that about psychic readers and being scams. So I think that that's why sometimes we look at it a certain way. But I look at it as our innate connection to source.
Yes.
It's a connection that we are born with. It's our connection that we have through our soul. Our soul is connected to source, and therefore we are automatically all-knowing because we are connected to source. So if we are children from source, born from source, we possess all that is within us. And that's why I think as children, a lot of us, we remember having clairvoyant experiences, psychic experiences.
So you do remember having, as a child, I
do. I remember having a lot of them as a child. Pretty much going all the way back as far as I can remember. I remember seeing and hearing things that others did not necessarily see and hear. I spent a lot of time alone as a child too. So, I have siblings, but they're much older than me. So I had my imaginary friends, and I had my whole little crew. And I was really big on plants. I used to love to spend a lot of time outside communicating with plants. And that was my childhood. A lot of exploration, a lot of dreams. And I remember like a couple of times that we had earthquakes, that I dreamt that there was an earthquake a couple of days before. If it would snow, especially like with anything happening with the weather, I was very receptive to it. So a lot of premonitions.
Were your parents aware that this was your experience?
They were, and sometimes they would ask me things. I have, like, on my father's side, they always had the gift of being able to predict certain things. I have my great-grandmother, and she used to be able to predict numbers, and then, and they used to always win stuff. They would always win things, being in the right place at the right time. And I would love to awaken that within myself. So I have to work on it. But I think that's very common. I think a lot of families, sometimes you'll hear about families of dreamers. They're the ones who are the dream workers, or the ones who are the ones who communicate with the plants. All of these things are part of our experience as humans because we are connected to Source. So we all have access to it. I think that, we're living in a world that's a little different now. But it's good to see that it seems like there's a reawakening. And I think because people are more open to different practices, meditation, people are, looking at their auras, and they are cognizant of spirit. So it's awakening that again, and people's abilities are coming back, even though I always felt like being in a concrete jungle, like, blocks things. If we could somehow live in a forest, it's like we would always tap in, keeping our feet in river water and being one with nature, we would be tapped in automatically.
Right.
But it's still happening regardless, which is a beautiful thing, even in this concrete reality.
That is so relatable when you shared that, because there have been times when I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't make it outside for the full moon, right? To be in the open air. But then part of me is like, the cement is not stopping that moonlight from reaching you. It's affecting the whole planet, right? So, like, you can't stop nature, but certainly the different vibration of being connected, as you said, it was a very relatable example, as an urban dweller,
Right, and then even with that, concrete is made of crystal, so there's some receptivity in there, I'm sure.
Right.
Even though it doesn't feel as good as looking at green, a forest. I'd much rather see a forest than a bunch of buildings.
So as you grew, did you ever go through a phase of not being connected with your gifts, or did you pretty much have the pathway of just continuing to embody and receive all the kind of extra guidances and messages and viewpoints?
No, for a long time, I felt like I was not connected for years. I would have a few big events, spread out. I would say I went through like my 20s. I didn't really have it. But then I would have, every few years I would have a dream or something would happen. Like I remember when certain things stand out for me. Prior to 9/11, I had a project that I was working on in the World Trade Center. And, we had all gotten our badges and everything. And I actually went up to one of those floors. I think it was 110th, one of those floors up there. Mm-hmm. And I was the only one on the elevator. And when the door opened, the whole floor looked like it was, the windows, everything looked like it was just covered in soot. It looked like a bomb hit it. Mm. And I just had such a feeling in my stomach. I said, what in the world? I remember pressing the button real fast, like, oh, no, gotta go.
Wow.
I remember that, yes. And then, it wasn't long after that we had the disaster. And I said, oh, my gosh.
No, was that in your dream or that was your experience?
No, that was my experience in real life.
Wow.
And then, the strange thing is no one knew what I was talking about
right.
when I told them about the floor. It was like, oh, no, this firm is on that floor and they've got these many people. And I'm like, what?
Yes, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow, that is wild.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then the last one I had was it was the pandemic, and I know a lot of people dreamt about the pandemic before it showed up, but I didn't make the connection until we were in lockdown. I said, "Oh, that's what that dream was about." It was crazy.
So what was your dream?
So when I had that dream, I was on my way back from Ghana. And it was in early January. So, I don't watch the news or anything, especially when I was over there. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about any of that mess. So I didn't know anything about the pandemic or the impending pandemic at the time. So I was coming back on the plane and I fell into a nice deep sleep. And the dream was, it started out with all of this turmoil and heavy winds. And I was trying to get to the airport. And then I veered off from the airport and I was with two of my spirit guides. And I veered off from the airport. We were all in the car. And I went to a building, some type of government building. I went up in the government building and it was like a big hall, and it had these big red curtains, and out from behind the curtains, President at the time, Trump, stepped out, and it was only a few people, who were just standing around and talking, but the lady next to me, she says, oh my gosh, she said, this is terrible what's going on. She said, and people have to keep their children home from school, and all of this plague is happening. And then this other guy standing next to me, he says, yeah. He says, well, the project is underway. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
When Trump comes out and makes this big announcement that everything was in total chaos and that they were going to have special alterations that were going to that were going to take place. And then I saw, okay, the vaccine. I saw that like in my mind's eye, special alterations to protect people, and that they were going to have designated areas for people to be able to take shelter away from the turmoil. But they would have to undergo these alterations. And so, right. And then he says, well, the project should be complete by 2025. And that was the dream. So when I woke up,
right,
I'm like, okay, that was strange. What in the world? So I get to JFK, I get to the airport, and I see all these long lines of Asian people with masks on. Nobody else had masks on, only them. I'm like, that's weird. And I'm walking and totally clueless.
Right.
And, I come home, I'm not thinking about any of this stuff. And then, my mother's like, oh, yeah, things are getting bad with this thing. By that time it was like February. And, because, we always hear things in the news. We had Asian flu, we had swine flu, we had it all.
Right.
So I don't tend to pay those things any attention until they started making announcements,
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is real.
Right. And did you even at that point did you connect the dream yet at that point then?
Completely. And then I kind of already knew what was coming after that.
Right.
So it's played out. It's pretty much played out, or playing out. It's still playing out.
And so the precognitive or the foretelling dreams, did you say that is in like your family gift, a strong way it expresses for you all?
Yes, that has been definitely a thing. And I can remember all the way back to childhood when frequently if I lost something or if someone misplaced something, I would dream about where it was and I would be able to tell them. But it was, for years I didn't have anything like that. In my adult life, nothing like that was coming through. So, I just trust spirit, and whatever I need to know, I'll know.
What happened for you in terms of returning back or ushering back in your connection after that period of time of it being dormant?
I didn't do anything to try to, not consciously, subconsciously, because I was always very much into holistic practices. So I started, my connection was with herbs. So I was connecting with the plants. That was early on as a child. And then in my teenage years, I started to go into formal study. At the time we had Clayton College of Natural Health. So it was all about nutrition and fasting because I had health issues that I needed to overcome. I had severe asthma, and I was able to get that reversed and be healthy and be fine and be able to dance and do everything I did without a problem. So I think that all of those little things, knowing what to do, what to study, I didn't get into meditation until later, probably not until my late 20s. And then I got into yoga. I really enjoyed yoga and became a Kemetic yoga teacher.
Yes, I wanted to ask a little bit about what is, Kemetic yoga. I've met a couple practitioners of that, and so I was just curious.
Yeah, Kemetic yoga It's a system that the postures are aligned with the postures in the ancient temples, in the pyramids. So the work was, the term was coined by Muata Ashby, Dr. Ashby. He's been around very long. He's a scholar. He actually takes groups to Kemet, to the temples, and he promotes the yoga practice. It is a beautiful practice because every posture is aligned with one of the Kemetic deities, and it literally takes you through a procession of rebirth. And the concept is after 100 days of consistently doing the full procession, it regenerates you. And it transforms you, and it does work. So, developing the discipline of doing that every single day for 100 days it's a beautiful practice. I did get into Kundalini yoga as well.
Well, and when you talk about the curing your asthma, I've been very interested in hearing more about that as well.
Oh, yeah. So that came through a series. Actually, I give credit to my mom because she had the books. She had Dr. Africa's African Holistic Health book.
Okay.
And she had Queen Afua's Heal Thyself, her first book. That came out long before Sacred Woman. So between those two books, I was able to read and learn. And then I also read Back to Eden. And all of that was like around the age of like 11, 12. And she had those books, and I was just glued to those books. Because they all talked about herbs and ways of healing the body. And I put them into practice, and it worked. Very quickly.
That's amazing. Again, talking about having access to books. Like for my mom, it was a lot of cookbooks, right? Community cookbooks and family cookbooks, and so like when you pick that up, and you're sitting with it over like 7-8 years of childhood, it always being present and available, that's such a beautiful resource that people don't realize what if you leave a book around a kid, what a kid can do with it, right?
Oh, it's amazing. It's so true. I learned so much so early from the books that my parents had. They had an extensive library. So it is so true. I think children learn more that way, too, than when we drill it into them.
Right.
Yep. So.
Now, you have traveled extensively. Where all have you gone, like literally traveled? Where all have you gone, and what were some of the experiences or like teachings and learnings that you experienced in some of those places?
Well, I would say most of my learning has been right here.
Okay.
I just tapped into teachers who were from other places. Like when I did my Reiki Master training, the teacher, she was from Japan. She was right there in New York City.
Okay.
When I did my the study on the Mayan Arvigo techniques, that was here also. That was actually between Florida and New York. I learned Central American herbs. I learned some in Central America, Costa Rica. I also visited Venezuela, I spent quite a bit of time in Trinidad. I lived there for a while. That's where a lot of my family is. So I learned a lot in Trinidad, a great deal. And I did learn a lot in Ghana as well. I have on my list, I definitely want to get to Tanzania.
Okay.
Kemetic, Tibet, and India, and Peru.
Oh, okay.
Those first ones, yeah, and Brazil, and then I'll move on from there. But those are like my immediate.
So you're going to
plans,
all the major portals.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
So
I have such a connection to those places. You ever look at astrocartography? It's so interesting. You could, if you go online to astro.com and you put in your birthday, you put in all your birth information, not only do you get a birth chart, but you can also see your soul connection to different places on Earth.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. It's really
that has
beautiful.
to be interesting.
It's very interesting because I got to really experience it, and what it does when you visit different places and how it activates different parts of you.
That is the truth, though. It is truly it's a cellular kind of experience. When you visit these places, it's like soul retrieval in a way, the self picking up an aspect of itself vibrationally from visiting that location. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, my God. It's so cool, so beautiful, But, just thinking about, I have a lot of thoughts on just, in terms of like developing psychically, a lot of us, I think we should always encourage our children to be able to live in their imagination, live with their imagination, and be able to experience it as reality, because it is a form of reality. It's a form of reality.
Every invention and idea started out in the imagination space.
That's right. So true. And they need that fluidity because the way we live, again, getting back to that word concrete, it's almost like it puts a block. It can really put a block in a damper and try to mold our children into a way of thinking. From the second that they begin school and they begin learning words and the meaning of words, it's like automatically everything is defined and has a designation, which is okay, but there also needs to be room for fluidity. When I see yellow, I may not be seeing the yellow that you see. Right. I remember as a child having different names for colors, having other languages, making up languages. And I think all that is important to allow them to have that, so that our imaginations can continue to soar and create possibilities and not get locked in. And also just knowing that anything is possible.
Well, to be able to, as a child, think of what you had read in a book, and then later in life be able to apply that to your own physical condition, right? That possibility was just natural to you because you'd seen it. through other people showing the possibilities of what could be done with an herb, a plant, etc.
True.
In terms
That's
of,
so true.
so you're so multifaceted. That's why I paused, because there's lots of different vines, if you will, to follow down in terms of your journey. So you got the herbalism and naturopathy and women and womb wellness. All those walk right along a similar path. So you work with women, and one thing that I heard you say, I think at a meeting recently, was about the term doula. Was that you that shared about the term doula?
Yes, that was me.
Okay. I would love to hear more about what you do with that. And not that, but you know what I'm saying, with womb wellness. And
So, for me, that came in because I knew that I wanted to have my children naturally. So I was able to, I'm going to say the word that we use now all the time, manifest midwives. that I got to learn so much from, and I just have so much respect for the work that they do. And I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, I didn't know one, but I knew I wasn't going to be in the hospital. So I was walking one day and happened to run into store called Birth Books and Beyond, and that was owned by a granny midwife named Nankululeko, who light and love be upon her on her journey. Mm-hmm. But I got to learn so much working with her, and it was just such a beautiful space to be in. So with my experience, my birth experience, I knew that was something that I wanted to share, and I wanted to assist other mamas in having those beautiful experiences as well. I became really, really passionate about that, and really set on seeing, what was going on in the birth field change. So I shifted a lot of my focus into birth work. And I recently got to work with a midwife, a phenomenal midwife that I've known over the years, who just made her transition. Mm-hmm. Her name is Nana Siti, love and light be upon her, and also Mama Oshun, love and light be upon her as well. But these are phenomenal mothers who changed the world. They changed the world because they changed the way that these babies came in through the portal and took their first breath on earth. And it's just so amazing to me. And that was always an inspiration for me. And that's how I got into birth work. That's really near and dear to me.
When you recently actually brought in a granddaughter of someone that we know, correct?
Oh, yes. Much love. Oh, gosh, I love them, the whole family. Our sister Sandy.
Yes,
and her beautiful baby.
Beautiful Muhammad, who was on our show 2 weeks ago, has a grandbaby that was welcomed into the world by you, and that's beautiful.
Oh, well, that had to be a remote situation because sometimes things are not. Yes, but I mean, all the best anyway. It was still good. it was
Yeah.
still, I was able to share words of encouragement and empower her and help her to realize who she is. And it's an honor. And I give thanks for every opportunity to do that. So, you know.
Now, another thing that you do in terms of health and wellness is what I've always said is iridology, but is it iridology? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. People say it different ways. I thought it was iridology. I was taught iridology, and then other teachers I hear say iridology. So You're not wrong.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to make sure I didn't butcher it. Like, that's not even what I do.
I've heard both.
So would
Yes.
you share about what this modality involves? We do have several people. Hold on a second here. We have some folks in the phone line. The phone lines are filling up, and so I'm checking in with my screener here real quick to see. We have some hands up. So, okay, we have somebody with a question here. Before we get into the topic of iridology, let me pull Eddie over and see. Eddie, let's see here if I can do this. Eddie, this is Joelle.
She just unmuted
Hello.
me.
I just did. Welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. You had a question for Karimah?
Yeah. Just spiritually, what do you see or you sense anything around me? If I may ask that.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, let me pause, Eddie. So let me pause. We're not doing the readings yet in the show. I thought you had a question about her journey. We'll bring you back on for the second half of the broadcast when she will be talking personal questions, okay?
Okay, but what I will add is I definitely appreciate what she was emphasizing on about how important imagination is, because I strongly feel that that's what's wrong with society as adults is everybody has forgotten how to use their imagination, and that's another reason why it's such a parasitic environment.
Agreed, and snaps on that parasitic.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Let me put you on, and we'll be back around to you later. Okay, I misunderstood my screener, so circling back into the iridology. So,
okay, so I use iridology or iridology as one tool. It's a snippet and a snapshot and a way for me to easily communicate with my client in a way that they can actually go back and verify the condition of their body or what's going on. I don't diagnose, so I'm going to use my words very wisely here. But basically with iridology, it's the study of the terrain, the tissues, the status of the tissue. If you look at your iris, you'll see various folds and hollows, gaps, lines, holes. You'll see areas that are more dense, areas that are more transparent. You'll see texture. And it tells you about the fluids and the tissue of the body. That's the concept. And you can get insight to the overall constitution as well as what may have been inherited as well. It's a really beautiful practice. However, it's one thing that is used. We also look at the tongue. We look at the face structure, voice. There's so much that goes into being able to really look at our health and make assessments. I do actually give classes on holistic health, and I show mamas a lot of times what to look for in their children. If their child is walking on their toes, and you look in their eye and you see excessive yellow around the pupil, then the child may be constipated. So it's just little things like that we are able to keep an eye on and keep our finger on the pulse. But yeah, we use also pulse as a form of checking as well what's going on inside the body. But with iridology, the amazing thing that I've noticed is that since I've been attending some of the, the festivals and providing services, what I started to notice is that I started to get a whole lot of messages. And then I realized, yes, the eyes really are a window to the soul. Mm-hmm. Because, I've had all kinds of people come through, and people's ancestors, their spirits, guides, or whatever, showing me things and telling me things, because a lot of times, even I speak for myself, sometimes we don't listen and we're not still enough to hear. So the person who is sitting with you, a lot of times will get those messages so that they can convey them to you. So I do my best to convey them in a way that doesn't scare people, because there's always a way of clearing things. As long as we have breath, there's always a way. There are always methods. We are given so many tools, it's not even funny. And I know a lot of times it can feel like we're bombarded on this planet with so much negativity. But one thing I realize is that we've got 1,000-fold as much positivity going on as we do the negativity. It literally swamps it. So for everything that's out there to throw a dagger, we're handed all kinds of tools to mend. I think as long as we remember that, things won't be so, worrisome.
Oh, yes, big stakes living, right? Like,
yes.
It's it. There'll be nothing else. It's this or nothing. It's this or that, black or white. It's over.
That's right. But with iridology, I love it. I give credit to my teachers. I've had wonderful teachers, Dr. Morse, Dr. Dira, who is, Dr. Goss's lineage. And I've learned so much from them and learned, how, the body works and the mechanism and the way you can directly see the condition of the digestive system. That's something that everyone can do. By using a flashlight in a mirror, you can directly look at your digestive system through your eyes. It's the area, the first layer right around the pupil. And a lot of us, that's something that we need to do regularly, because such a strong connection between the gut and our brain and our overall health, our immune system, everything. Mm-hmm. It's like the gut it's another brain. It's a center of the body. It's right in the center. So making sure that is on its axis and is harmonized, making sure that everything is flowing smoothly is so key. And that also ties into our psychic experiences as well. Because to have good psychic experiences, we want to support the brain. We support the brain through the gut, making sure that we're processing things well. We have the vagus nerve. It links the gut and the brain directly. Mm-hmm. And it gets a lot of feedback from the intestines, which mm-hmm. also picks up all the emotional states. Our gut communicates directly with our brain, and as soon as we realize that, we know that we need to nurture it. We need to be drinking those teas and kind of lightening up on the stuff that we're dumping into the gut, because we have to think it's crossing, many of these substances cross the blood-brain barrier, and they end up clogging the channels that we need to be open in order to receive messages. You know, our nervous system.
Well, that's what they say. Most of us are living with like severe adrenal fatigue because of the fight or flight priming of the matrix, which is constantly running ticker symbols of pay attention, it's urgent, watch now, now, now.
Oh, it's so true. That's all the sympathetic nervous system right there. Fight or flight.
Right,
and
constantly being... Well, it's interesting because you talk about like the health of the body and the digestion and the food. And, you know, my belief is that we are in a system that is well primed to use our biology against us and to have the gut-brain relationship exploited in a way through the way that products are made chemically and packaged and scented and additives and all of that. And so when you begin to look at your eyes and look at the quality of your skin and your biology differently, you can begin to see how those chemicals and additives do change how you appear. You know?
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. I really think it's so underrated. Like, you know, I listen a lot to, Santo Spinaci.
Oh, yeah. Work. I just got in him recently.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. And, you know, the way he talks about, he makes a connection. You know, I always felt like the brain, the spinal cord, it's an altar. You know, it's the altar of the soul, and we have to take care of it. And in those, along that spine, we have all the nervous system connections. It's so many channels, and that's the way we sense our environment. And when we talk about being psychic, a lot of it has to do with being receptive and having senses that are completely open and ready to receive. In our practices in Ayurveda, that's what it's all about. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, it's about aligning, clearing the senses, purifying the senses. We purify the senses through our breath. We purify our senses through eating the right foods, drinking water when we first wake up, making sure that we're getting proper exercise, that all the elements within our body are stimulated. Air, water, earth, air, ether. Oh, I said air twice. But all of the elements that we are made of are getting their proper nourishment, and that they are being activated. So I think that when we talk about clairvoyance, one of the things that's really important is yoga. Yoga and the meditation practices. Meditation creates space. It requires us to pull all of our senses inward so that we're not so focused outwardly. We're focused on our breath. Usually when I start a meditation, the easiest thing is to follow the breath, focus on the breath, and don't get attached to any mental chatter. Our minds could race and all the thoughts could go through. But we just observe it like we're watching hawks circling in the sky, without getting attached to it, just allowing them to pass. And eventually we'll be focused only on our breath. And it'll let you, it allows your nervous system to really be disarmed. Because we have so much stimulation around us.
Well, when you develop a practice like that, then the pull becomes to get more of that space, because the system likes that reprieve, that rest, that respite. Once it gets a taste of, right? Then it wants to bring us back to that, and it will pull us out of that more hectic stimuli environment more consistently as we give more space. It takes more space.
It's so true. So true. And, sometimes these things, we may go through our, where we're consistent, we're meditating every day. We do it for months, years on end. Then you fall off. It's okay. It's all part of the process. We shouldn't go into, condemning ourselves. We just pick it up where we left off, keep going. There are other ways too.
It's almost like then moving full circle, because the living foods that you read about in the herbs and the books when you were growing up, you actually then also are living foods proponent, and amongst all the other kind of health and wellness, you're very comfortable with that kind of program or lifestyle, if you will, and in passing that knowledge on to others as well through your clients, correct?
Yes. I do love living foods. I spent several years raw. And it's like every day I always want to get back to all raw.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Well, it all depends on how you do it. It's work if you want a gourmet meal every day, then it's a lot of work, But if you enjoy fruit, and you can. Now it's winter time. I don't really like to eat tropical fruits in the winter, so I'll stick with like berries or something. As long as I'm being good. But I think that we do what we can, because here again, we're in an environment where it would be best to grow our food, but that's not always possible.
Right.
So in the event that we can't, or sometimes we have to grab something, I think it's important we can put our hands over our food, and you can interject and raise the vibration of that food. Interject words of power, pray over it, whatever you want to call it. Reiki over it, whatever you need to do. And ask that food do no harm, and that you're able to extract out of it whatever you need for your body to the best of its ability, what it can give, and thank the food and go on and eat it.
Oh, that's right. The highest possible vibration for this piece of chocolate cake.
That's it. We have to do what we can do, right?
Right.
I remember I used to be so bent on certain things, and this has to be this way, and I only drink this type of water, I only do this, that's all well and good, but at the same time, I'm not living in a tropical environment, and I have to be, I have to consider everything.
Well, and if you're struggling and trying to be compliant with something, then you're negating the vibrational frequency by your feeling state while you're doing it.
Yes.
Now, so, I mean, just from talking with you in this conversation, I mean, it's clear like you're just very integrated in terms of your knowledge comes from a lot of different aspects of you in totality within each of the subject areas. So a person who would want to contact you, what is if you had to say a typical client experience of a person who wants to work with you?
So typically, I would do an initial consultation where I will make my assessment about what I think and where I may be able to best support. And then I always will ask if this is something I can do, or, you know, what parts of it I can do, which parts of it need to be referred. And then from there, I usually integrate diet, lifestyle, herbs, a lot of times I'll do a particular meditation with the client, and I'll recommend particular yoga postures. And kind of depends. It's very fluid. Sometimes I'll look at their birth chart. If I feel moved to, like, it's really important, I'll do that. And I'll check to see. It's just really like looking
it's
for
an integrative.
Yes, and looking for information. And then I usually do a write-up. I'll do a report based on what I see, and I'll recommend, you know, what has worked and what I've seen work, and where other people have found relief in whatever it is. So that's usually my visit. And I also will do energy clearing too, as of more recently. I used to do Reiki alone, like back when I first became a Reiki Master, but now I don't do that. I don't really do that often. It's rare. So I integrate it into everything else.
Right. So when I know I sat with you at the big psychic fair, Gloria Parker's event up in Roswell. It happens the first of the month, every month, if you're in the Atlanta area. You did an iridology view for me briefly. And then the next time I was there, you held some crystals and then just started channeling information. And just, I guess it was just a reading or a spiritual download or whatever just kind of came through. So the way that you flow is that whatever spirit like leads you to say or see or experience, you just are in that moment.
Yes, I'm in the moment. Exactly. Exactly. So
I don't think either one of us were expecting it. Yeah, I don't think either one of us were expecting it when you grabbed the crystals, and then it was like, oh, it was like a window opened up, and next thing you knew, you were, just talking. So that, your connection to that psychic field is persistent and strong from the way it appears to me.
Wow. Yeah, I feel it sometimes more than others. Also, too, it depends on the person, because some people don't want to be seen, so they cloak themselves, and that's okay, too,
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you encounter people that you think, wow, I wish that they would learn how to cloak themselves. if they knew what they were broadcasting, they would probably do differently, you know.
I have my moments too. Believe me, I have my moments.
In terms of your passing on of this knowledge that you have received from so many wise elders, do you have teaching opportunities or workshops or, that you have at this present time?
I do about 4 times a year. Virtual classes on holistic health. I had planned on doing a class for elders. I announced it this past fall, but I have not launched it yet. But that is something I do want to do this spring because I feel it's so necessary, specifically for caring for our elders. I often do classes about caring for our children and the things that they need. Mm-hmm. Particularly, I usually do that one around August when they're going back to school, at the beginning of August or July, before the weather starts to change and everybody gets sick. So that's usually, I've had organizations who asked me to teach parents on that, and they would host the classes. So those are pretty much the classes that I have put out on holistic, pretty much all centered around holistic health. And I also do have a herbal first aid class. That one, the herbal first aid and the foraging, like how to identify the plants that are around you and knowing how to tap into and you know, create an alliance with them so that you can work together. You can help cultivate them, and they can help you with whatever you need. So that's the class that's usually done twice a year.
I said that class for me would be how to not kill yourself eating in nature. Starting with don't put that in your mouth.
Yep, identifying the poisonous lookalikes is so true, so important.
Right.
Don't eat those mushrooms unless you know what it is.
That's right. Where can people connect with you to find out about your class offerings or working with you in a client relationship?
They can find me on Instagram, IEYE.am, iridology, IRIDOLOGY. So I, as in your eye that you see with, .am.iridology. Mm-hmm. You can also find me, you can email me as well at Temple of Regeneration, info@Temple of Regeneration. So it's info, INFO, at Temple, TEMPLE, of OF, Regeneration, REGENERATION.
Okay. Wonderful. We had some folks listening. Oh, here we go. Hold on. I think we had a live caller here who wanted to pop in real quick before leaving. Hello, you're on the Psychic Inside Show. Well, maybe not.
Hello?
I know there's Hi, you're on the Psychic Inside Show. Did you have a comment or a question?
This is Dr. Tracy J. How are you?
Oh, hello, Dr. Tracy.
Greetings.
Welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. Karimah Tracy, you met her at our circle. She's the heart lady. And
How are
Tracy
you?
has been on the show before as well, so this is a little psychic convention. Did you have a comment or question?
Well, yes, I didn't realize that you were speaking to me when you said that you were up. I thought I was hearing you bring on someone else. That's the reason why I didn't say anything, first of all.
Sorry.
And I just wanted to say, this show is so amazing and wonderful, and I really appreciate my connection and information that I received, because I also received a reading or iridology reading, and it was really powerful. The first time, one of the things she brought forth was, was about me being concerned about my daughter, and at that time, I wasn't so much concerned about her in a manner in which it would be, something that was in the forefront of my heart and mind, but like shortly thereafter, there were some things that took place that made me, made my heart heavy, and I was concerned and worried about her. So I remember that, and I was grateful for it, and it's just been such an awesome experience to receive and interact, and I just wanted to say that, and that, the information that's coming forth is amazing. But I have one question. I didn't get an opportunity to write down the website that you made mention about the different geographic areas, and it would let you know not only, giving you your, I think you said astrology chart information, but also how you would relate to different areas, because I've been moving around a lot. And it would be awesome or nice to be able to see the areas that I've been in, or those areas that I'm thinking about, visiting, how it would relate to my journey and what I would experience as a result.
Oh, yes. It is astro.com. That's plain old www.astro.com. And what you do is you click on, there are so many options on there, so you just kind of have to fish around on there. But if you go at the top of the page, there will be an area that says Personal Daily Horoscope, and you type in your name. You create an account, type in your name, you put in your birthday, everything. And it's going to tell you, like, your aspects of the day and what they mean. Mm-hmm. You'll get long and short-term aspects, and then you can go, so you click on horoscope tab at the top, on the top left, and you will see there it is, location astrology. So you click on Astro Click Travel under location astrology.
Okay, Astro. Okay, hold on. I'm typing it. Mm-hmm. You said
Astro Click Travel. So it's under the free horoscope tab. Yep.
Okay, Astro Click Travel. Okay, that would be very interesting. I would really like to know, or even where I am currently.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
thank
awesome.
You so much.
I'm glad you clarified for that, Tracy. I would have asked myself, and now I understand what your message to me was asking, because she's texting. I'm like, it's showtime. But now it's like, get the name of the book, the website. So I get it now. And
okay. I didn't know, because I didn't know if you saw that I was on, and I thought maybe you would, because it was shortly after she made that statement. And I was like, okay, what is this? But yes, I've been listening and enjoying the talk. So.
Well, and I forgot that you're the one that told me about Karimah like months before I made it around to the fair to see her. So like it was probably 2 or 3 months beforehand that you were telling me about the scan that she did for you with the health.
It was wonderful, and I really appreciated the information that came through in terms of what she suggested that I take as far as a supplement. It was very, very helpful. So it's really awesome. So it was like really, I wasn't expecting, just like with you, Joelle, I wasn't expecting the part when she was sharing about how, she saw that I was concerned or worried about my daughter. That was one thing that, kind of stood out, and I, received that, this is what she was talking about when it actually happened. So I received more than what I had bargained for.
That's a great part.
It's an honor all the time. It's always an honor.
Well, thanks for coming on, Dr. Tracy. I'm going to put you back on the listening line. And for those of you who are listening later, I'll try to put the link to Tracy's interview in the show notes for you to be able to check out our conversation as well. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's beautiful real-time testimony for you. Word of mouth, right, travels through community connection.
Yes, it makes me love what I do. It really does. So I can make a difference in the lives of others.
Your astrological knowledge is something as well that's in your little gumbo of a person, because I just call you Sister Gumbo from now on, because you got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and some of it's a secret.
I know. I really, really, really delved into astrology. Like, astrology helped me to understand myself. So that's what it was driven by. It was driven by me needing to understand me. I guess everything is like that, but really astrology, because it's like I need to understand why, I think like this. And then it helped me to actually, respond accordingly. So that's the beautiful thing about astrology. It's helped me navigate life.
Well, and you've done, you're not just like reading the magazine horoscopes. I think we were also talking about something, and I dropped a date out there, and you were like, do you have to do that on that day? Oh, I don't know why. You're like, well, the planetary aspects are not that favorable for you. Most people be like, because it's, spring break or such and such, and you're like, no, Pluto is going to be here, and you don't want to do such and such. So it was definitely a deep knowledge that you weren't like Googling that. You were just like, this is what you knew what the energies were going to be from your wealth of knowledge. Right. I use Astromatrix software, and then I also constantly listen to astrologers all the time. I mean, that's something that's always going on. I'm always listening to astrologers. So sometimes it gets a little bit jumbled up in my head, but, But Spirit makes sure the right part gets out. And I mark up my calendar. I mark up my calendar for like a couple of months ahead. I put the moon dates on there, and I put certain things I'll put in red, like, this is a good day to do an email blast, and based on my chart, it's helped me a lot. It's really helped me a lot. So, and the days that I know that I don't need to interact with people, I can see that too. Like an argument might break out or something. So I think I'm going to just stay quiet today. Okay, I know that's right. It's a good stay home day, right?
Yep.
You also, you have such a long list. Like that's one of the beautiful things about being an integrative healer, is that there's 1,000 different things that you bring into doing what you do. And it's been collected over every step of your journey to this current now moment. But you have a conference that you host annually prior to COVID. And so would you share a little bit about that as well?
Yes. So the conference is a conference on African spirituality. Now, the first time I held the conference was in 2018. It was in person. And I had several practitioners across different systems, as well as keynote speakers who included some scholars. Like I had Ashra Kwesi, Lisa Tish, to name a few. And I had practitioners that had workshops going on simultaneously. So attendees would choose a workshop that whatever resonated with them. I had workshops on meditation, some metaphysical workshops, as well as some traditional African teachings that people may have wanted to learn, like Ifa practices, as well as the other lesser known things that we don't really hear about. We hear about Buddhism, we hear about Judaism and Christianity. So I felt that it was an area that needed some light, that what we have to offer and what has come from the continent that our ancestors brought needed light and needed to be more known. And not known just by, a few. A lot of people are practitioners, but don't make it known because there's so much surrounding it. And I feel like it doesn't get the light that it should get in the world. So that was my way of contributing to that, creating a space where people could come and learn, and it would be embraced. Our traditions could be embraced and celebrated as the truth of what they are in their highest light. So another one is going to be coming up, but this one is online and it's in February. So it's in 2 weeks.
Okay.
A little bit more than 2. It's 17 days to be exact. It's in 17 days. I'm doing the countdown because I have to get my Eventbrite out so that people can sign up. As of right now, if you're interested, you can actually either use any of the methods, Instagram or the email that I gave, to let me know, and I can send you a link to let you know when it's time to register.
Okay.
But registration will be opening up this Friday.
Okay. And it's in 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks.
It's a 2-day conference, 3-day.
It's Friday evening. It begins with opening.
Okay.
Opening, libation, words of power, and then Saturday and Sunday there will be workshops as well as keynote. Okay.
Well, I know when you shared about it, I thought, Will the materials be available if someone who registers but can't attend during the time? Will they be able to catch the replay of those sessions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will all be recorded.
Okay.
It will all be recorded and they can catch replay. Yep.
Okay. Well,
that would be wonderful.
It's been so interesting to hear about all these little tidbits and morsels of what you've acquired over your journey in terms of the healing abilities that you bring to others. And we do have callers who have got questions for you. So we will transition to the open line side of our conversation. And so for those of you who do want to ask a question, remember please that these readings are on the air and recorded and will be broadcast all over the world. So if there's something that winds up being more private or intimate that winds up coming out through the conversation, we will just encourage you to contact Karimah directly for a personal private reading. And is there any other thing that you would want to say to people who are going to have a question in terms of the conversation that you'll be able to have with them?
Sure. If you have questions surrounding health particularly, I understand some people do want psychic readings. I will gather myself. I wasn't really in the space to offer them, but I will gather myself. I realize that this is something that the lovely show that Joelle has put together makes it possible for people to be able to get readings, and that is important. So,
well, I think it's clear
I'm
that
open
with
to
you,
questions.
well, I think it's clear that with you, there's not any kind of barriers between your gifts and abilities and how you use them in any given moment. So,
True.
All right. So if you are on the phone line,
just don't come after me if I answer something wrong, your psychic question wrong.
Well, there's never a wrong answer for fair, right? If you're on the phone lines and you do want to come on and ask a question, just press the pound key 1 or #1. That lets me know, raises your hand. I do see we have a caller. So thank you to my screener who has been taking care of talking with other people. Our earlier callers ended up dropping, and so if they call back in, we'll hopefully get them on as well. But in the meantime, we have Deanna, or is it Dina? Deanna?
It's Deanna, yes.
Deanna, hi. Thank you for calling. This is the Psychic Inside Show, and you are on with Karimah.
Hi.
Greetings, Deanna. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing okay. Making it.
Oh.
Blessed and making it. Yeah.
What can we do to raise that to thriving?
Calling, and I did see you were the guest, and I saw that you were herbalist and things like that. And so my first thing is I wanted to know, I have a polyp on my gallbladder, and I just want to try to see if I can maintain it without surgery. Do you have anything I can take? Any suggestions? And then also I wanted to know about this guy I just started talking to, kind of, sort of, yeah. And to see where you thought that would go. Because I'm separated. I've been separated for about 3 years now. And my current ex, I guess, it's a mess. But anyway, what does Spirit has to give me? And I'm writing this down in my notes so I can write it, have just to have notes, and yeah.
Okay, let's start with the first question. You asked about your gallbladder and having a polyp on your gallbladder. So I just want to kind of go into conceptually what that is. Whenever we talk about like polyps and protrusion of tissue or anything like that, it's in a holistic mindset. It's really about the body trying to encapsulate what it doesn't want to spread around the body. This is the concept.
Yeah.
So when you look at the gallbladder is works with the liver.
Yes.
So typically when we have gallbladder issues, it's because it's usually directly connected to the diet.
Yeah.
The liver is responsible for processing out fats and cleaning toxins out of the body.
Mm-hmm.
The gallbladder is what secrete bile
Right.
to break down those fats. So essentially, that is a system that's all part of your digestive system.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been trying to eat like blueberries and strawberries, and trying to eat better a little bit.
Also, let me say this.
Too.
I understand. When it comes to berries are very good. However, strawberries, if you're going to eat strawberries, they should be organic because they are heavily sprayed and laden with pesticides.
Okay.
And your liver has to process that out. It's a burden on the liver and gallbladder. So
wow.
What I would say is taking yourself through, were you recommended to get surgery?
Well, I went today actually, and I went and got another ultrasound, and the results came back as like it did grow some since July, and so it's my choice. They haven't said anything after today, so we'll see what he recommends. They recommended me have surgery, but they said let's watch it, and then they said let's come back in I think 6 months to make sure it hasn't grown. So if I go back in 6 months, I'm just like, okay, just take it, and it's grown. It can be cancerous. I don't want to take that risk, but I'm just trying to, there's a lot, with my children and, taking off. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, regardless of whether you go the allopathic route and you do what's told to you to do, no judgment, or whether you decide to do it completely holistically, you want to get to the root of the cause. Sometimes you can connect gallbladder to certain ways of thinking as well. Look at in your psyche the way, are you feeling bitter about certain things? Bitterness, hardness, you needing to soften things in your life,
Yeah.
Just really sit down and journal and check in with you and where your deepest emotions are, where they reside. Are you feeling really bitter and angry, and about what? And there are a lot of practices that you can do to alleviate that emotions that haven't been processed. You can use magnets. You can use water that you put affirmations on. You can get very creative. Writing is really good. A lot of times writing out those emotions and then burning the paper, that's one way. That's another way. Making sure that you're always supporting yourself emotionally. If you have to keep a journal on you at all times and you have different feelings that come up, write them out immediately.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Immediately address them. Because part of, digestion is also processing of information. Everything is information. Our food is information. The light that we take in is information. The sounds that we hear is all information. And either that information is going to bring harmony in the body or it's going to bring dis-ease. So look at everything in your life and see what you really feel good about, and then make the commitment to veer towards those things that you feel good about. And I'm going to say, like, directly on a physical level, watch the oils. If I were you, I would just drop all of the oils. Most of the oils are no good. Every time we eat out, we're getting, oils that are not really food. And the body is not recognizing a lot of what we're eating as food anymore. So that's why it's like trying to package it up into, excess tissue.
Right.
So looking and making sure you're drinking enough fluid too, enough water. Charge your water with prayer. You can, speak words of power over your water. I mean, I'm into programming everything. If you can program it, then that's what you do, because water is so receptive, and then you drink that water knowing that it's healing you and it's dissolving everything that does not work in your favor.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll take a little bit of time to implement these practices, but you start with one thing little by little, and you just keep adding on.
Right.
And then you always need to, like, find ways of mitigating when you do eat out. If you know you're going to eat out, you're eating a greasy meal, come home and put some charcoal in some water, and add that charcoal to remove that grease from your body. And you drink it, and you use the bathroom, it's going to be all black. But it's flushing it out. It's pulling out the excess residue that doesn't belong in there.
Right. Okay. So watch my diet, get out all of, because I eat at home. I work from home, and my problem is I don't eat. I haven't been eating well, and that is my part. I do have digestive issues, IBS, things like that, and so. But I just had a surgery 2020. They took, hysterectomy or whatever, partial. And so I'm just like, I'm 41, 2 grown kids, they're in college, and I'm just like, listen, what is going on? I'm going to have a heart and a brain when they finish with me. Like, I'm not trying to have a surgery, But, I am going to work at this. And then until 6 months. And then once that happens, then I can decide, I guess, where everything is. I just want to know what herbs I can have here, or I can take, or, and I wrote everything you said down. I've been taking probiotics. I'm going to take more for my digestive system as well. So I am trying to get into gear, trying to get myself together, keep myself vibrant. And so I won't have to be old, because my ex-husband, well, he's not my ex yet, but he's sick. He's only 41. There's a lot going on with him, and I don't want to, I want to see great grandkids and stuff. But that's the next question as well. Like, that's what my stresses have been with my what I have been going, with him and then my children, trying to make them sure they're in college, and me working from home and trying to balance everything. I own a home and I want to buy another home. It's just a lot, So every time I get stressed out, I think that's when my gallbladder it bothers me, But I would do exactly all of this stuff, and I understand what you were saying about thinking bitter. If I'm, in hardness and things like that, I can understand it, but I feel like I feel great. I feel great. I do have some issues. I'm working on it with my therapist. Things that it's just still ongoing, and I want to cut it off. And so it's time. And so that's why I'm asking about the guy. nice and things went kind of fast, but it's okay. I don't know if, what that would be. What is that? What, that. I'm looking towards new things. Of course, hopefully we hurry up and get a divorce, but it takes time. It takes time. But what does Spirit say? And you love, or is this the guy?
Well, what Spirit is telling me is that you need to slow down, and you need to check in more with yourself. You have to catch up with yourself. You've got a lot of wonderful ambition and that energy and that drive to do so much. Is beautiful. Some of it needs to be directed towards your development and your comfort. And I don't mean comfort in like an enabling way, but more so in a harmonious way, bringing your body into alignment, slowing down, taking baths, long soaks, relaxing, taking walks in the woods. You don't have to do a million things, kind of pace yourself. Pace everything. This year that we're in, 2023, is a 7-year. So it's, when you have a 7-year, this is a year of spiritual growth. So it's a lot of inner work. Now, when we get to the 8-year, that's the power year. It's going to be all about, even though everyone's thinking about money right now, the thing is really going to be spiritual growth this year. Next year, we'll be delving more into, and of course it changes based on your own astrology, but overall, collectively, that we are being called to grow inwardly and to raise ourselves up spiritually. So you need to definitely be writing, processing your emotions, putting it all on paper, the way you feel, and doing work to actually move it along so it's not holding stagnant within your body. Drinking lots of water, writing your things out as a plan is a great thing to do. But it's not going anywhere. It's there for you. Just take your time, be patient with yourself. And as far as the man is concerned, the main thing I'm getting is take your time. Slow down and take your time, because there's development that you need right now.
Okay.
Because in the long run, a lot of times what happens is when we link with other people and then we go on our inner journey, we realize that they may not be aligned anymore with who we are, who we become. And that's a lot of times when things go left.
So don't entangle myself.
Right, exactly, because you don't know who you are fully yet. None of us do, but I feel that for you there's going to be leaps and bounds of growth. You're going to start looking at things very differently. So allow yourself to take that time and that space. Allow yourself that space to spread out a little bit and see what you're blossoming into in the next year or so.
Deanna, I appreciate you calling in this evening. We do have 2 other callers that we need to get through to the end of the evening, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing and asking a question, and I found it very informative about the gallbladder thing. It's good to be a fly on the wall.
Well, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
All right. We have 2 more callers to get on the line before the evening is over, and we have about 20 minutes to do it. So the first caller actually is circling back around for a reading question or a health question. This is Tracy again.
All right.
Hey, I didn't want to take up I didn't want to take a whole lot of time. I could have let the other person go next, but it was just and I kind of briefly had a conversation with Karimah about it, but we didn't get a chance because I was traveling. But it was about the pain that I was feeling when I'm sleeping at night in my arms and like in my hand, like a little achy. And you had made mention something about like it sounded like circulation. And I'm in Hot Springs Village now, and I end up, because it was bothering me. I've been traveling for 2 months and got back, and he's a holistic or a practitioner, and he had prescribed me a natural product. Is I'm gonna spell it so I can make sure I say it properly. LPOIC acid.
Oh, lipoic acid. Alpha lipoic
yes.
acid. Oh, okay.
Yeah, IPOIC acid.
Okay.
IPOIC. So, like, do you have anything to share more? Because I've been taking it for a few weeks now. I guess it's subsiding, but I wasn't sure. I probably should have asked him more questions about it, but I just wanted to see what you think about this particular type of supplement.
Well, when it comes to that supplement, alpha lipoic acid, a lot of times we use that like for when the blood sugar is out. I mean, it can be used for so much. There's so many benefits to it. People who have issues with diabetes, it's good for the kidneys. It's good for a lot.
Okay.
He probably gave it to you because you had like the tingling and stuff. That could be why. So usually that would work in the case of when there's like a peripheral neuropathy, and you've got usually due to diabetes,
Yeah, he was saying that it's like sounds like I had the beginning stages of neuropathy, and that's the reason why he was suggesting. He did, one of the things was interesting. He did like the muscle testing when he was, having a conversation, and then he made the suggestion of this, and I did share with him because one of the things that you had shared that I should take iodine supplement because I was feeling kind of tired, and you saw in your reading like thyroid type issue that you could see when you was looking into my eyes. So we also did the muscle test surrounding the one that I had chosen, and I ended up getting something that my body was saying that was more in alignment. So like I said, I was just curious as to, from your perspective, or what you knew about this particular supplement and what were the benefits of it.
Yes, so that's typically what that supplement is used for. But I want to ask you if you, how do I say this over the air without jamming myself up?
Okay, you can call me offline if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like more of an ongoing follow-on reading, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't leave me hanging all night, Karimah. When you get done, you could just ask me the question offline. I mean, I appreciate your being mindful of what comes through you right now.
All right. And you can call me around 10:30, or right after we get off the show. Yeah, right after we get off the phone, Georgia time.
Okay,
darling. Thank you very much.
All right, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're cruising on to our last caller for the evening. I love this phone number. It ends in 444. Welcome to the Psychic Inside Show. Who are we talking with?
Greetings. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so my name is Ebony Q. I'm actually one of Karimah's clients.
Oh, cool.
So, and
greetings, Ebony.
Greetings. So yes, I've been working with Karimah for a while. She's been working with me for a while now. And I could just like really speak for her knowledge, I loved her approach in looking at everything from a holistic point of view, because, you know, like in Western medicine, everything is looked at as compartmentalized. But due to like her gifts and her ability and her skills and knowledge, she's able to see things from like a well-rounded point of view. So it's like you'll tell you what's going on medically, you know, physically, but like the emotional and the energetic manifestation of that, which is also important for healing. So, yes, she's been helping me on my womb healing journey, and it's been very empowering. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, I give thanks.
Yes,
I appreciate
but
it.
How did you find Karimah? Can I ask you how you found Karimah?
Yes, so I actually met Karimah at a health fair. It was like a energetic healing fair.
Okay.
And she had her booth set up, and so I decided to get an iridology appointment with her. And it was a very powerful experience. It was my first iridology appointment.
Pretty mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yes, she was able to tell me something that was going on in my shoulder, like from high school. Like she saw that through my eyes and was able to tell me exactly what it was and the minerals that I needed in order to like restore the tissues in my shoulder.
All right. See.
Oh, I give thanks. Thank you, Ebony, for calling in.
Thank you.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much the eyes tell. It really is. I love the tool, you know, and see so much.
Ebony, did you have a question as well for this evening?
Yes, so I have a question. I'll keep it short. I know we're coming close to the end. But my question has to do with spleen energy, like the spleen, I guess the spleen or the spleen chakra. So I realized recently that I'm experiencing a bit of blockage like underneath my left rib, which I identified to be my spleen. It was kind of cold. So like, you know, based on what I've learned from you, it's usually blocked energy in that area. So what could I do to maybe bring more fire to my spleen or more circulation to my spleen?
So that spleen energy gets depleted. Sometimes it can be depleted through cold. I remember learning how to use moxibustion. So I can show you, you know, using the moxa. That's one way. Kind of tuning in to see with you, Ebony. Okay, so I remember before you were having some issues with digestion as well.
Yes.
It comes from a space of dealing with like your personal power, because it's connected to that third chakra, which has to do with power and, you know, the healthy ego and the feel of having things under control, like, you know, your strength, being able to show up in the world the way you want to, empowered. So it has a lot to do with empowerment. I think for you, breathing exercises, I would use fire breath. I would
okay.
And look at the types of exercises you're doing as well, because our personal power and that particular center thrives off of exercise, because, you know, also being tied to with the root chakra, if that's thrown off, it can throw off the chakras above, so the sacral and the solar plexus. And I feel like for you, it's stemming from the root. It's stemming from the root and the need to, and you needing to feel more, not only grounded but empowered. The word empowerment just keeps coming to me for you.
Okay.
So
when you say,
it's not really a food thing. For you, it's not. I'm not picking up a food thing.
Thank you.
What were you?
So when you say exercises, do you mean physical exercises or like, I guess more like words of power exercises?
Physical exercises and breath work. Not really words. Breath work, physical exercises. And, you know, any crystals that also help with that solar plexus chakra, like a citrine or something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
Thank you so much for calling in and for sharing your experience, and then also for asking another informing question, because, you know, we're talking about the inner organs and stuff. I really have like no clue as to their alignment with certain energy experiences in our life. So these answers have been very informative, Karimah.
I give thanks. You know, I love how, you know, Louise Hay, she talks about the energetic correspondences to disease. I always found that so fascinating. And you know, you can really see and connect that way.
Well, Ebony, thank you so much. I'm going to put you back on the listener line. Okay, so this has been a wonderful conversation, Karimah. Just as you said, like sitting at your knee, almost like, you know, I feel that kind of, let me just listen to you and see what tidbits can be gleaned. It would be a wonderful experience to just be able to be that fly on the wall as you practice and impart your knowledge with people, because it's so varied. That's the thing that I'm so impressed by is, again, as I've been saying all evening, you come from so many different knowledge pathways into one kind of merged quantum healer, you know, embodying both the ancestors and the future in the energy medicine that you're bringing. So I thank you for that.
You are welcome. You are so welcome. It's an honor. It was a wonderful show tonight.
Well,
are there any other questions?
No, we've cleared the phone lines and we're headed for the wrap up here. So
just in time.
Yeah. This has been the Psychic Inside Show with my guest, Karimah King, The information for contacting Karimah has been given, and we'll repeat it in the show notes as well. Next week, tomorrow, be sure to check out the Viberarian YouTube channel, because on In the Cards with the Viberarian, we're going to be featuring the Metaphysical Cannabis deck. So it is an oracle deck that has been created all about plant medicine energies by the creator. So I'm super excited. I have a guest that will be joining me to share about her experience using the deck. And then next week on the Psychic Inside Show, we've got February already all blocked up. Every week for the next 6 or 8 weeks, we've got amazing people lined up to come back and talk about their journeys as well. So, Karimah, thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. I want to just send my special appreciation to all the people that I love in our close groups, and Nikki with Beautiful Soul Photography, Sandy with her wonderful work that she does, Truist, you, Mama Joelle, Key, Sister Key, with her breast work. I mean, and all else, and all those also that, who always are just working towards the betterment of humanity and giving strength. And all of my teachers, those that I've learned from, I give thanks to my parents. I give thanks to my ancestors, my guides, protectors. Just feeling really full.
Well,
I give thanks.
That is a wonderful place to be. I always wrap my show by saying that, I wish that everyone has the most amazing, blessed week, and that those blessings spill out from their arms because they're so full, right? And then bless the world around them. Like, you definitely are a blessing to those who come in contact with you. And so I'm grateful for those abundant blessings that you've received that you are sharing with all of us.
I share.
So, all right.
I give a special shout out to Queen Thais, Liberated Minds, as well, for the homeschoolers.
Okay.
Our wonderful programming. All right.
All right, so the parents.
All right. Peace and love. All right. Take care.
All right, everyone. We will see you next week on the Psychic Inside Show. Namaste.
You've been listening to the Psychic Inside Show with Joelle the Viberarian. If it's in the psychic realm, it's our passion. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Viberarian and on YouTube at The Vibrary. The show airs on Tuesdays at 8 Eastern on the Vibrary Radio Network.
See you next week on the Psychic Inside Show.